Hi, everybody. Welcome to your weekly coaching call. My name is Lee Honish, and I am joined by David Bartels, as always. How are you today, David?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much. Welcome back. We missed you.
Yeah, 2 weeks of divorce proceedings. Helping out a friend is helping out friends, and sometimes that comes with teeth, I've discovered. I think that there's a running joke, Dave. Tell me if I'm wrong about this. People ask me all the time, if you want less friends and family, help them in real estate. I'm going to go a step further. Don't help them in real estate. Don't help them with money. Don't help them with life. Don't give them advice. Just love them for who they are. How am I doing with that?
Well, yeah, well, the exception is if they ask, the problem is giving them advice when they don't want it.
Yeah, I guess.
But if they ask for the advice, then you know, then you're obligated to give it to them straight.
To say the number of weird things that I have seen over the last couple of weeks with people that I thought I was helping is just literally shocking. But hey, I'm happy and I'm positive, and that's all that matters. Um, and I'm happy to be here back with everybody. Sorry I was gone for the last couple of weeks. David, tell everybody about Home Loan Advocates and why you are such a special mitigation kind of guy.
Well, I don't know that, but what we are doing is we are still doing short sales. And if you need help with a short sale or distressed property transaction, then you'll want to call us 805-379-3300, 805-379-3300, or David at homeloanadvocates.com.
That is sort of the coaching end, the mitigation end, and one of the top brokers in the Conejo Valley. Take advantage of that information. He would love to hear from you. I am the marketing guy. I know all things marketing. In fact, it's a curse. It is a curse. If you would like to find out how I can better help your business, if you want to learn about this call or why we do this call weekly, you can go to honish.com. It will take you directly to a landing page where all you have to do is fill out the form. There is no more honish.com website. There is no more finding out about the monster or my different programs. I have discovered, I'm just cutting to the chase now. It is just better for me to talk to you one-on-one and get it over with. There will be a new website up soon. I haven't decided how I'm going to reintroduce the monster for next year, or even my lead platform pages, or even the coaching that I do. But again, all you have to do is go to honish.com, fill out the form. I will be happy to talk to you for a full hour. I want to hear all about your business and how to better help you. Also, you can give me a call, 858-663-2537. Please text me first. That way I can better schedule you. It's just kind of the way I operate. In fact, the message you will hear will be a message saying that I am probably at Disneyland with my daughter. It's the oldest message I own, David. And to text me. So please take advantage of that. I want to help all of you. My goal was to try to help 100 people before the end of the year. I only got about halfway, David. Just giving out good advice. And let me tell you how many times, let's just get right into it for January. I cannot tell you how many times people who followed you and I or listened to the podcast or people on the coaching call then want to talk to me about mail marketing pieces. Like, where by God have you ever heard me as a marketing person talk about it? And that's not to say that I'm against alternative marketing pieces or even alternative marketing in general. What winds up happening on these calls, people ask me, and we'll cover it today. Let's kind of go through this. People ask me all the time, what's the best way to get started right now? I said, well, you need a list. Shockingly, everybody that I'm coaching lately, nobody has cultivated their client list at all, period, end of sentence. So you need a way to cultivate your list. Let's start with list building, David. For you, what was the best form of list building for you?
Okay. This this is something I spend a lot of time on. In fact, it's what I was doing late last night and early this morning was working on this. The first thing that you have to do is compile all of get into your address book, your email address book, your phone address book, and dump them in one place. So whether or not I use Follow Up Boss, it could be Top Producer, it could be, there are 1,000 of them. out there. Some of them are $10 a month. Some of them are free. Some of them are really expensive, like mine, which is, you know, $500-600 a month. So you've got to compile everything in one place, and then you have to set up some sort of regular communication with them, what I call action plans, what Follow Up Boss calls action plans. And that maybe that's just an email that you send them every 3 months, and maybe it's a reminder to call them and say hello every 6 months. It starts out that simple.
Excellent. I will say this on my end. I do it for my clients. It is part of the service that I provide when I do my services. First thing I do is get everybody on Facebook, getting renter buyer leads, right? Now, this gets confused all the time with every single client, David. They constantly say, well, this just looks like a bunch of renters. Well, if you're proposing that they rent a house, you are creating a list of people that are looking for houses. It doesn't necessarily even mean whether or not they're going to rent or possibly purchase. These are people that are in the market for a house in an area. Therefore, you can create a list based on it. I prefer Excel. For those of you that want a free CRM, MailChimp remarkably now has a free CRM feature with their free email service, making them the greatest free thing I've ever seen on the planet at this point. MailChimp just keeps upping their game on this free thing. So that's email, and that's for that type of follow-up. But the one that I do the most, that is the most successful, that even when I get a brand new client and the first thing I tell them to do is compile a list, like David said. And I'll use an example of a client I had a couple of weeks ago, David. 10 years in the business. Okay, compile a list. She was able to put together 10 names. It actually hurt my chest when I got the list. Like it physically, like I felt an oof inside of me. It's like watching Gordon Ramsay on Kitchen Nightmares going into a dirty kitchen going, this is the problem. But I did, and I took those 10 names, I put them into Sly Broadcast. You've heard me talk about it a million times. I don't make any money from the company. I had them record a very simple message to let them know that she was still around, and she got one call. I don't want to break it to you, that's a 10% result. And that's about as good as it gets. So those are really both ends of the spectrum on how to do this. The next thing that I think is crucially important, and we'll talk about it, is let's talk about direct marketing. Actually, let me take that back. I will tell you that I think the second most successful thing, and David will back me up on this, people do open houses. What are you doing? Do some open houses. My God, they generate leads forever. And put it on Facebook, send out a broadcast, do whatever you got to do. Literally, what are you people thinking with your weekends? If I was in real estate, excluding Super Bowl Sunday, which is a national holiday of real estate. So we used to build houses, David. You know this about my past. So I worked for a tyrant of a human being in Arcadia. He was a tyrant. He made my father look like a saint. But the only day he ever let me have off from sitting brand new open house tracks was Super Bowl Sunday. He goes, nobody goes out on Super Bowl Sunday. Go watch the game. So my question to you, David, is there a single house in your portfolio that doesn't have an open house on the weekend?
Sometimes we have them, but mostly because they're in escrow. So that's what
I'm surprised you don't do them while they're in escrow. I think everybody gets the misconception that.
Well, I don't have the personnel.
There you go.
Yeah.
I joke about it all the time. People ask me about it. Oh, I don't need to get a buyer for this property. It's going to sell in like a week. You think that's why you do open houses, huh?
No, every sales meeting we talk about this. The purpose of the open house is not to sell the house. The purpose of the open house is to cultivate buyer leads.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Stake that thing all the way to a freeway. I don't care what you people have to do. Buy some pinup signs, buy some drive-by signs, this way to the house kind of signs. The other thing that I see, and maybe you can give me some feedback because I know you're kind of, I'll use the word fastidious. Is that a good word, David? Fastidious?
Okay.
How important is staking out that property and driving the traffic at an open house?
Well, let me tell you how important it is.
I knew there'd be an answer.
Yeah. Is that, first of all, again, the objective of the open house signs is not really to get them to the open house. It's really about brand impressions, familiarity. Yes, it does drive traffic to the house, but again, the purpose is not to sell the house. So I don't trust my buyer agents to put out open house signs. So what I do is I hire a sign guy, I give them a map, and I tell them specifically where I want the signs to go, and I send it to them, and he can do 2 open houses. We've done 3 once. We just have to stagger them. But he goes out and puts all the signs up, and then he circles back and picks them up later. So the only sign that the agent has to do is the front yard, put the open house sign up, at the curb. So that's how important it is to me. It's a very important way to generate brand familiarity.
Am I keeping the top 10 board complete, right? So we go number 1 is our list. Number 2, open houses for generating leads. I would agree with this. By the way, my very first housing tract that I built from the ground up, I was so obsessed with it, David. I think it was in the city of Covina, and I think I staked it from 3 major boulevards all the way to the property. I staked it forever. Like, I couldn't even believe the amount of staking that I actually did. I went to every major boulevard to get every major direction to draw every bit of traffic. And the first day of that housing track, there was so much traffic. There were 7 houses that we built. I couldn't handle the amount of people who wanted to write offers. I had to like call in reinforcements. It was over my head. So when it's done correctly, not only does it sell your property in the case of new houses, but the list that we created that day was endless. It was literally endless. That's the other thing I've seen. What data are you collecting? I saw this at a couple of open houses for a friend where they're like, yeah, please fill out the digital form, and it goes into a digital database and it does all kinds of wacky things. I'm not a fan of that personally. I guess this is the old school in me. Get their name, get their phone number, get their email. That's it. And then connect and engage with them. What do you send to your open houses?
All right, so I we have experimented with both. The team and they say because the attendees prefer paper. So name, phone number,
Agree.
email address.
I completely agree.
That's what
Every
we
time.
try to get. Now we've started. I'm trying to get them to. I don't think we're not really having much success with it. But if we find out that they're a neighbor, okay, when they come in and introduce themselves to the neighbor, the next question is, great, which house are you selling soon? And we try to get their address as well, and so we can market them as a buyer and a seller.
All right. With that said, that's in generalities of how real estate professionals should run their business. The next thing that I would think, I don't have a list in front of me. I'm just working from the top of my head, fresh and new, having a few weeks off, David. I think the next important thing that I have seen this year, especially out of real estate agents, is the USP, right? The unique selling proposition. I can't stress this enough. Before you do any direct marketing, before you put anything online, before you do any of that, do you know what you're selling? Do you know who you're selling? Do you know what your specialty is? It doesn't matter if you're a loan broker, you're selling scooters, or I just got, you'll love this one, David. I literally got a referral in the city of, in Florida, wait, don't tell me because he just signed up, but it's in Florida. He does he's a landscaper. Somebody gave him a referral to me and they said, can you get him more clients? And I said, yeah, I can get him more clients, because he's got a unique selling proposition, right? How important is it to understand your brand and your identity before you do any kind of direct marketing?
Well, I think it's critical. I mean, you've got to listen, I go back to my favorite stat, and 1 in 95 adults in California has a license to sell real estate. 50% of them don't do any transactions. It's really hard. Real estate agents have become a bit commoditized. People really underestimate the time and expertise needed to do a successful transaction, especially in the competitive environment that we see. And so unless you have a unique selling proposition, unless you can position yourself differently, you're going to look exactly the same. And whether or not they choose you or not has everything to do with what your fee is, or whether or not they know you already, or are more familiar with somebody else. So you've got to create differentiation in order to compete effectively in this market.
So let's go from there. Once you identify, and by the way, you don't need to get Gary V to create your brand or your identity. I'll do it for free. What a plug for Lee. Go to honish.com, fill out the form. I'll tell you your identity. Congratulations. You're welcome. And it's free. So you've created a brand, you've created identity. David's got a very unique selling proposition with now the FSBO insert David here. The unique FSBO program, your unique short sale program, your unique help you sell program, David. I know that you're just putting your toe into the FSBO water, but looking at your outlook, are you happy with your USPs for 2020?
I'm thrilled. I'm super excited. We're off to our best start ever, our best January that we've ever had, and things are really looking great. So I'm thrilled with our differentiation. I work really hard in order to have everybody else on one side of the street and me being the only one on this side of the street. So when people talk to me, they know in seconds what we do versus what they do, and that at least gives them enough information for them to go deeper. Now, our unique selling proposition alone does not get us more business. It just gets us more conversations. And then during that conversation, they decide whether or not they trust us to do the job. And I can save them $50,000, or I can provide a whole nother level of service than what they might get somewhere else. But the reality is, if they don't think that I'm competent to sell their house or help them buy a house, I'm not going to get their business. So the unique selling proposition gets you a conversation, and then you got to get in there and you've got to deliver your message with competence. You've got to give them a strategy besides your benefits.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the end of the year when I released the unstuck material that I've been working on, but it's hypercritical. I cannot tell you the fact that I've become the therapist to all broken real estate agents on the planet. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I think everybody gets beat down by the real estate industry in general. I'll say it again. I said it at the end of the year. I've said it on other podcasts. We talked about it repeatedly, David and I, but let's talk about this. Having the ability to have an icebreaker and a conversation starter come down to some very simple prospects. I mean, it's just really that simple. And every time I talk to people about this, they think I'm crazy well, it's fake. It's not real. That's not really who you are. No, the truth is, I genuinely want to engage the people that I talk to. People who know me and love me and care about me have gone out with me and watched me talk up and engage with people and find out about their life. And ultimately, when I try to find out about people's lives on a genuine level, they ask me what I do. And my answer is very simple, depending on how I feel the situation. But when it comes to real estate, my answer is I do real estate. And they go, you do real estate. What does that mean? Well, it depends. From where I sit, and I've tried to preach this to everybody, David, and we can talk about this. Anything in regards to real estate, I don't care if it's a loan, I don't care if it's an escrow, I don't care if it's an appraisal, I don't care if it's trying to understand the lot line management of their property for an ingress and egress, or a buyer or seller. I want them to bring me that information because I know someone. And if I know someone, that's the potential of a referral, which gives me the potential of monetization. Can you talk about this from your perspective? Because I've been carrying this back into the 90s, where I was basically taught there's no such thing as a bad deal. There just isn't. If you can't do it, you refer it and you can make money, but you got to take in the deal. And I see this with a lot of agents, a lot. I don't do this. I don't do that. I only want to work luxury homes. That's crazy. Because we go back to list building and we talk about this all in a building process. But the reality is, David, if I bring them in and I connect and I engage and they connect and engage with me and I help them out, aren't they still my client for life, even if I refer them out?
Well, if you maintain a relationship with them.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's the secret. I mean, the reason all of our clients aren't clients for life is that we fail to maintain a relationship with them. And so, it's the obligation to have a relationship with these people that we've transacted with, is not theirs. The obligation is ours. We have to continue to add value after the transaction closes. So, I mean, I guess you're not asking about what to do that, so I won't get into that right now. But there are some agents that are out there, when they go on a listing presentation, they also refer that client to 2 or 3 other people, because they, based on their closing percentages, that if they're not going to get it, they want one of these other people to get it so they can get compensation. Or if they're pretty sure they're not going to get it after they do the meeting, then they refer somebody else, to call them and take another swing at it, looking for, 25, 30, 40% of the commission versus 100% of the commission that they might have gotten. Now, I don't do that. I work everything.
I agree.
Now, the other thing that the other thought that occurred to me when you were sharing is that the appropriate time to refer things out is if you just don't have the bandwidth to do it, and you don't have, whether or not you individually can't do it. So listen, if I had $25 million listings and a $500,000 listing showed up, yeah, I might not be that keen to do it, and I might want to refer that out. But if I have the bandwidth, then, I want to be able, to do it. So I've got today, I have my listing appointment right after this call that I'm going on is somebody who was walking their dog by one of our signs on a for sale with owner program that I'm going to make $3,000 on for about 5 or 6 hours of total work. Actually, my assistant's going to do most of the work. I'm going to make $3,000 on that deal. But she saw the sign. She called to ask about it. I said it was went in escrow in 1 day. I told her what the price it went in escrow, and she wanted to know why she couldn't sell her house. So I'm meeting with her today to walk her, through that process. I suspect that I'll get that listing. So the reality is that the number one, when you think about building a business, your business is going to come from 3 places generally, which is what you're talking about. Number 1 is friends, family, and referrals, repeat business. Okay, they're all the same. Friends, family, referrals, repeat business. That's number 1, or it should be number 1. Not always in the beginning. Number 2, it's going to come from open houses. And number 3, it's going to come from signs. Those were the first 3 things that you started talking about. And when I look at all the things that I do a lot of things that generate business. My business comes primarily from those 3 things. So the number, which is why I love advocate marketing so much, if I had nothing else going on, is because it's the easiest and fastest way. And if I don't have repeat and referral business, if I don't have any listings, the easiest way to get one is to go after distressed properties, get a sign in the yard, and then start marketing that house to get more buyers and sellers. And then that's how I built my business. Is I started with distressed properties, and then it turned into a regular business, and we still are doing distressed properties and generating business from it.
Incredible segue, David. For those interested in advocate marketing, how can they find out more?
Well, I can send you a video. What advocate marketing system is about is really helping you convert people who you might have. Well, it's helping you to find people to sell and sell people you find. We focus on distressed properties. It's advocate marketing at its finest, where we really go in and help people understand what their alternatives to foreclosure are. And through that process, the majority of people end up having to sell their house. And through the trust that we and rapport that we build with them, we end up getting that listing, or we buy it if we're an investor, and we start building our business from there. So if you want to learn how to do that, you might call for more information, 805-413-8000, 805-413-8000, or email me, which is maybe better, david@homeloanadvocates.com, and I gladly will send you a recorded webinar that gives you an overview of how that program works and how you can get started in advocate marketing or escalate what you're already doing with Monster or advocate marketing system.
I will look up. I think I created a squeeze page for it at one point with one of your presentations, and I'll try to find it before the end of the presentation. But I want to keep on this vein. So following all this, B2B. Oh my gosh, B2B. B2B. In real estate, I don't care if you're a loan broker, an escrow officer, a real estate agent, B2B, for those of you who don't know, business to business is critical, right? I will share my experience on this and then I'll get David's feedback. Meeting people in your industry is not about you going out and having free drinks at the next Keller Williams mixer at the local bar top. It's about meeting people in your industry. So this just happened a few weeks ago. I was watching a football game, David. By the way, let me give some advice. If you don't feel that you're confident talking and meeting with people, go out with somebody who's confident. I tend to edify my friends when I go to events with them. David knows this. Everybody who goes out with me knows this. I tend to go to events and want to be a wallflower because I don't want to talk marketing for the entire night. In this particular thing, I think it was during a playoff round. I went to a mixer. I was minding my own business, drinking my club soda, David, and watching the game, having snacks. And somebody we were just watching the game and we were just talking about the game. And ultimately, because I engaged them and I realized they were real estate people, I asked them about their business. They engaged me and it wound up being an insurance person. And they go, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, I'm in support of my friend. She's here. She's working the room and meeting people." She goes, "Well, what do you do?" I said, "I'm not talking about me. I'm not here for me." No, really, what do you do? What do you do? By the way, when you do a takeaway psychologically, everybody, it always works. I always say, I don't want to talk about me. I'm here for my friend. And I would like to believe that all of my friends know this. If I'm out with David, I'm pushing David. If I'm out with my business partners, I'm pushing them. I always get marketing business. I don't know if I like it or not. It's just kind of the way I'm wired. I've always been about the people I'm around. Maybe it's something I need to talk to my therapist about, but I digress. I said, no. I'm just watching the football game. Can I buy you a drink? Yeah, a club soda or a Coke, and only if they have real Coke. No, really. Let me get you a drink. Let me get you a real drink. No. Yeah, I don't drink anymore. It's kind of a thing. And he pushed me and he pushed me. Finally, he goes, "What do you do?" I said, "I do marketing." He goes, "Really? What kind?" I said, "I get people more of what they want." And he goes, "Do you think you could get insurance leads?" I said, "Of course I can. I can get whatever I put my mind to. I don't care if you do loans. I don't care if you do insurance. I don't care if you're a real estate agent. I can get you more of it. But you got to do what I tell you to do because it's not about the leads. It's about the engagement." And it wound up being one of my most lucrative accounts, David, literally by doing nothing but being in a mixer and watching a football game. It's the funniest thing ever. For you, I know you don't do mixers, but how critical, because it comes into your daily life, the B2B aspect of being able to have referrals and meeting people and having those connections. I think everybody has it wrong. I really do. They just see a mixer as, oh, free drinks by EXP this weekend. No, it's not. It's a chance for you to meet people and get numbers and create relationships. That's what it's.
Well, if I'm an investor, then I want to go to real estate mixers or real estate investment clubs. It's just really, it's more about being social, so it's still about like I get referrals from divorce attorneys. I get referrals from probate attorneys. I get referrals from my CPA. Those are all business to business kind of relationships. So just like we give referrals to some of those people. So it's not just realtors that are putting a mixer together because they want to recruit you. It's more about just having relationships with people in general, because all people are potential referrals. So when I meet people and they realize that I'm in real estate, and they always want to know, well, how's the market? And my response is always the same, and that is, well, it depends. Are you a buyer or are you a seller? And I use that instantly to try to qualify them, so I know the perspective of which to share my opinion if I end up giving them one, and it allows me to go a little deeper. Everybody is a potential client or potential referral partner.
With all of that said, you've got all your B2Bs, your USPs, your list, you've got all that in place. I don't want to break it to everybody in 2020, especially everybody in the coaching room. Before you even do direct marketing, the next thing you need to do, you need to create content. You really do. You need to start creating your messaging. You need to start finding venues to put it online. Even if it's what you're delivering, let's just go with monster marketing. Let's just say you're going to focus on distress for 2020 and be a monster marketer. By the way, go to honish.com, fill out the form. I will be happy to call you and talk to you about options for joining monster marketing. But the reason I say that, if that's your identity, that you've got all these places, your B2B is David, your B2B is Lee, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You've got everything in line. Okay, what content are you creating to back all of that up? You can't take it out to the front door. You can't put it online. Content is hypercritical. I don't care if it's podcasts. I don't care if it's videos. I don't care if it's written pieces. I don't even care if it's a blog, but nothing is nothing. Something is something. You actually are a huge, did I get the word right? Proponent, correct word? Of doing content on a regular basis, David. You put it out constantly, you email it out constantly. Talk about content from your end. You do a ton of videos.
Yeah, so I believe you have to do content. So from my perspective, the message that I want people to get is that we're full service, that they get a better value with us. And in order to save money or to get more, you don't have to give up expertise. And the only way to demonstrate expertise is through content. The only way to build value is through content. And though I have resisted, I have succumbed to having to do video. And the quality of, and I've been, doing it poorly for a long time, but everyone said better to do poor than not do it at all.
Correct.
And so a lot of times I just sit at my desk and turn on the camera and talk into the camera, just like somebody was sitting across the table from me, and I turn it off. I post it. I don't spend a lot of time on it. I'm not trying to make it pretty and glamorous. I try to make sure that I have relatively good lighting and the sound is okay. But beyond that, I'm just kind of sharing thoughts with people. People want to know, how's the market? So I do videos frequently on what's happening with the market, and I back it up with data. And people want me to explain. They don't want to talk to me on the phone. They want me to tell them how our Smart Buyer program works. So we did a video on explaining it. They want to know how the different programs. So we did videos on all of our unique selling proposition, so that we can email it, we can text it, we can post it. Okay. And so it allows us to reach more people faster and and spread our message in a way that we would not otherwise have been able to do it. It's no longer hand-to-hand combat. Doing business today is no longer, just meeting people. I can reach more people and go a lot faster on social media and email and text than anything else. And so if I can't get somebody on the phone and I can send them a text that's got a 2-minute video on it, there's some people will watch it, some people won't, but a lot more people will watch it than will call me back to talk to me about it.
Yeah, I agree. I am a big fan of podcasting. It's one of the services that I provide for my clients. And again, if you're interested in a podcast, gratuitous plug, go to honish.com, fill out the form. We'll talk about it. You don't have to be a great talker. I make everybody a great talker. David is already a great talker, but the reason
I
we do this,
struggled the last 2 weeks without you, really struggled. So I'm really happy with that.
Look, I've been broadcasting since 2007 on actual radio, and the most shocking thing ever, why everybody gets hung up about doing a podcast or any kind of broadcast or even a video, you're not talking to anybody. You're talking to a camera, and it's really hard. Everybody saw this. You were away vacationing with your lovely wife when I did the big video, right, with my face in the screen, where I was basically just talking directly into the screen to an anonymous person. And it was the big thing about it, and you've probably learned this, David, the more personal, the more real you get, the more you really think that you're engaging with just one person, whoever it is, the video does better, the audio does better, right?
For sure. I mean, people want you to be authentic.
Yeah.
And
I have gutted
I've had
myself
to really
many
work at
times.
this. I've had to really work with dialing it back. People are not, they want to know right away, what are you going to do for them? How are you going to do that? Where are you coming from? Okay, what's your agenda? So I've just learned not to try to hide it, just to come right out with that. Don't get around to it. Get to it and say what you want to say, and say it directly and sincerely and with authenticity.
Yeah. Who do you love? What do you fight for? What do you represent? What are your values? And be real. I mean, many of you guys who are on the coaching call right now saw that video. I did it as a coaching call right around the end of the year. That was a painful video. But I'm telling you, based on the view rate and the count rate, it's thousands of people who know what I stand for as a marketer and how I coach and what I believe. And I'm okay with that message, or I wouldn't have put it out there. And I think there's a piece of it where you've got to be brave enough to put yourself out there. I know none of you are going to believe this, especially in the coaching room or those of you listening to the podcast. You're a semi-public character the minute you decide to do real estate or loans or landscaping or escrow. If you're going to be the face of that business, and I've seen this with David, and the growth has been remarkable. When you finally take up the mantle of being the Batman and deciding, this is my business and this is what I represent and this is what I fight for, right? It changes the dynamic of your business. I watched David go from indirect videos, nice things about the city, to I'm David Bartels. Here's what I stand for. Here's what I believe about the Conejo Valley. I've looked at your count rate, David. There is a huge difference that I've seen growth-wise in 2019 on really putting out your message of you being the front man and being brave to be out there. And it's a big step. It's kind of scary. You are a public character.
Well, what's scary about it is, not wanting to look stupid, not looking to feel like you're overselling, that you're over promoting, and that you're in their face. And, you just, the way that I have just decided to look at it is that, listen, everybody who comes across this stuff has free will. And that free will is to engage or not to engage. Just because I put it out there does not mean that I'm harassing people. I just put it out there, and then their engagement is optional. And once I got my ego out of the way and stopped getting upset when people didn't feel like watching my stuff, it got a lot easier for me.
It's hard. I know it's even hard for the people around me because I don't have a problem because I've been doing it for so long. And in regards to the stupid thing, none of you listening to this, watching this replay, any of you in the coaching room, I have done epically stupid stuff. Epically stupid stuff. In fact, I was debating signing an MMA fight for my 52nd birthday. Epically stupid stuff, right? Because I thought it would be good content to teach people you can do anything at any age and be anything you want. You're wrong. You're just not going to hurt yourself. You'll get more customers than you won't. And the other thing about this, because I do love podcasting so much, it's really relatively not expensive, I think is the correct word, but it gives you the opportunity for people to get to know you. And if you don't, we go back to USP, these are all in order, but man, creating the content is so critical before you even get to direct marketing of, all right, I've created a catalog, I've created this, I've created that, I'm ready to go. Let's move forward one step, David, from right there. Direct marketing. You and I will both pitch advocate marketing or monster marketing or what, for the sake of discussion, because it would just make me happier, advocate marketing. Can you talk about the advocate marketing process as a marketing process?
Yeah, so there are two steps to selling. And I know this sounds like I'm oversimplifying, but selling anything is finding people to sell and selling the people you find. Something I learned 30 years ago from Tom Hopkins, right? So finding people to sell and selling the people you find. So what Monster does, Monster is really effective at finding people to sell. You get your data, you put the tag, people call, you end up face to face. I'm training a new person. She did 8 tags. We got 3 appointments. So we're face to face with 3 people. Now, what happens at the door is is advocate marketing, in the sense that it's really all about conversion. So what Monster does is helps you find people to sell, get you face to face with somebody who has a 70% probability of selling their house. And what advocate marketing does is show you how to convert that into a transaction, and what to say, what to do, what to give them, verify the appointment, how do you follow up. That's what we're covering in advocate marketing, is the entire conversion process from nuts to bolts.
There you go. How can they find out more about advocate marketing?
805-413-8000, 805-413-8000, or David at homeloanadvocates.com.
Which takes us to our last and most critical step in this discussion of, I guess, the 2020 reset show between you and I, David. And I think one of the most important things ever, follow up. Follow up and cycling and rinse, repeat. I used to say rinse and repeat, but let's go with the term follow up. But I'll say this, she's not on the call, but I just got a call from Sharon, one of my coaching students who I've had. Are you ready for this, David? Created a funnel from scratch. She literally, it's been 5 months since we set it up, did all the steps, created all the funnels, did all the online stuff, did all the lead stuff, kept cycling, kept doing this live broadcast. So it's 5 months later, and I got the call yesterday, Lee, it's too much business. What? Is that a real sentence? She goes, no, it's kind of overwhelming. I said, do you realize that I beat, by doing what we did and by following, I guess, the Lee methodology, you've literally beaten the normal 9-month cycle of online leads and funnel and cycle. I said, you're ahead of the game. You're ahead of the game by 4 months. When I quote someone who hires me out for the year, I'll tell them it'll take about 9 months before you see a drip line really start to happen. And hers hit at 5 months. And her words literally were, this is overwhelming. It's too much. I said, then we'll hire someone and that'll be your assistant. I said, but there is no way I'm turning off your funnel at this point. There's no way. It's just not going to happen. I
Right.
said, this
You
is
got
what you
you
asked for
hired
in
buyers again.
July.
Yep.
Right. I said, you hired me in July and said, I want to be a top agent again. I went, great. That's what I do. You know, pay the invoice, let's go. And it was slow and it was rocky, and we found our USP and we did all the steps that I'm sharing with all of you, right? I'm telling you guys how to wash the car. I'm not hiding any of my steps. And then when it all hit, it just happened yesterday. I was just walking around my place. She goes, it's overwhelming. Like, I have calls, I have meetings. I've got another one ready to go to. As an individual, it's scary when it really hits, but it's about doing it over and over and over and over and over and over every day. I can even tell you in my own business, and I know this because of the tragedies that I've gone through for the last 3 or 4 months. I took time off and I stopped all my marketing funnels. Lo and behold, I didn't make any money. This isn't like some kind of revelation. I stopped doing my daily marketing, right? So talk about repetition, follow up, and the cycle, David.
Well, if you think about the cycle that most agents and investors find themselves in, they go, they start let's say you start the new year with nothing. So now you got to do this marketing, and then you've got to do then you got a month of conversion, then you maybe get a deal, and then you got it in escrow, and then and then you get paid, and then you start all over again. And so you have these you have these ups and downs. So you work a month or two and you make a check, and then you work a month or two and you make a check, then you work a month or two and you make a check. And I don't remember exactly. I think the typical agent nationwide average is 4 transactions. So it's like every 3 months on average. And the difference between the people, I just learned last night, I was able to confirm that we were the top sales team in Ventura County again for last year. So that's 2 years in a row. And the reality of that, and the reason that happens, is that we never take our foot off the gas. We never stop marketing. We always keep it going. And so by never taking our foot off the gas, that makes sure that we always have people in the funnel that are in the conversion process. We always have people that are in the funnel that are in the sales process or escrow process, and which means we're closing transactions every single month. That's how you do it. And at the beginning, when you're on your own, when I started doing this back in 2012, I never sold a house. I didn't even have a real estate agent's license. Okay, I had to get that. Then I had to get my broker's license after 2 years. But when I started, I did every job, and then I hired as I needed, just like this person you were just talking about. And when I got to where I couldn't handle it, then I hired somebody else to do it. And then I got to where I wanted to give away all the jobs that I didn't A, like to do, or B, could be done a lot more inexpensively than it was costing me to do it because of the opportunity lost. I needed to spend more time working leads. What's the highest and best use of my time? And if tasks didn't fall on that list, then I look for somebody else to do it. Now, I let somebody go on my team yesterday. It's a pretty remedial task that they do. Guess who gets to do it for a while? Me. So that's just the way it works. And then I either need to train somebody else to do it or hire somebody, to do it. But making myself do it means that it won't take me long to get annoyed, and I'll stop and make it go away by giving the job to somebody else.
Yeah, it's tough. And I'll make it really clear. It will cost you family, it will cost you friends, it'll cost you relationships. I can safely say I'm apprehensive of future relationships based on past relationships where they just constantly say, you're always on your computer. What do you think I'm doing? Watching YouTube videos? It's not that I'm doing it for my health, it's that I have no choice. I am my own marketing department, and therefore for me to make whatever my mythical number is for each year, I've got to be doing it. That's a good call. If you guys want to get help, you need your USP, you need a funnel, you need to understand that, you need any of it, please go to honish.com. Just fill out the form. If you type in honish.com, it'll take you straight to a form. It'll come straight to me. I will contact you immediately, text you, and we'll do a one-on-one and we'll talk about it and find something that fits for you. Again, it's honish.com. If you want help with advocate marketing, short sales, or just talk to a great guy, David, how do they reach you?
805-413-8000, 805-413-8000.